Hey guys, welcome back to Naily by Nature. It's your girl Naily.
And Sadia.
And if you're new to this channel, this is my best friend, my niece, who has been on this journey with me since the very beginning. This is our third trip now. We are in India, and this is a cute little vlog we have that we want to share with you guys. We've been in Goa for almost a little over a month.
A little over a month, yeah.
And it's been a real dream. We've had like the best time here. The food, oh my God, the food has been the cherry on top.
It's so good, yeah.
Not that I had any doubt in mind. From street food to Punjabi food to Goan food, it's all been really delicious. And of course, the beaches here are serene.
They're beautiful. There's plenty. There's like every beach has like a different vibe.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily blue water, but it's like really beautiful and peaceful. We found our favorite beach, which was Ajvam
Beach.
So you can't really you won't feel comfortable wearing a bikini everywhere. So Ajvam was one of the ones where you can wear a bikini and not feel like people are staring at you. Within our first day here, we realized we needed a car.
Very quickly we learned we needed a car.
I think we were trying to avoid having a car because after our accident in Costa Rica, we were like, let's not do that. If you guys remember, I had like a whole busted eye. But then it actually ended up working out in our favor, right? Learning to drive in India is an experience in itself.
Yeah.
It's like learning to adapt to the country. It was kind of like whiplash. Learning to drive is also like learning how to adapt to like Indian society, because there's no such thing as traffic lights. There's no such thing as stop signs.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as courtesy. There's no such things as ladies first.
Right of ways. All their turns kind of. The bigger the car, the more they barrel down the road. Like.
Yeah, and the motorcycles are just doing their own thing. So it's almost like as if a brain vessel popped, and it's like you're just like, and you have to be alert on everything, because anything and everyone is just like coming at you so quickly. Yes. But it's funny because I feel like I adapted pretty quickly to driving here, right?
Yeah.
It says something about me.
It's like, watch out for the cows, watch out for the people.
Oh my gosh, the cows, there's cows everywhere.
Scooters, there's so many elements coming at you, and it's like you have to keep your eye open at all times.
Yeah. Cows are really regarded in Indian society as like spiritual, and
they hold them in high regard, definitely.
Yeah,
they vote. They're like
they're treated really well here.
Yeah.
So you'll be just walking, and a cow will just be stopping traffic, and that's just, everyone has to wait. But it doesn't seem like people mind here. So it's just, it's a cow, it's a goddess. So how are we doing mentally, spiritually? Things have been up and down. Every time we travel to these new areas, there's like this period of adapting, and sometimes there's just not enough time to adapt, because you're just kind of like thrown into it. Because like there is no integration process, right? Like there's no playbook on how to like integrate when you get to a new place. You just learn as you're there.
Yeah.
I feel like people always ask us how it is to travel together for such extended periods of time. And I feel like, like people always ask us if we fight. And it's like, guys, every couple fights. I love when couples say that, right? They're like, every couple fights. Like, thank you. I thought everything was perfect. But our relationship has definitely been stronger.
I feel like we're practicing communicating. Well, every fight is a practice, right? Communication and learning to become healthier as you express your feelings. You have to become more comfortable with expressing your feelings without having to hurt the other person.
Yeah. And sometimes when you are like, someone's in your face every day, every minute, every hour, every time you lay in bed, every time you wake up, every time you go to sleep, it really pushes your boundaries. And sometimes I feel like I wasn't even aware of my boundaries, you know? You don't really think you're going to have boundaries, but you really get to know the ins and outs of a person. And I feel like we've known each other since we were babies, but there's still so much about Sadia that I'm discovering. And we are also rediscovering ourselves. So it's also like learning the person that's emerging out of these experiences, but also learning like all the challenges we're going through, right? And sometimes the challenges that you're facing, it's so what's the word, when it's like foreign, it's almost foreign to me, because like that's not my struggles, and just like the things I struggle with, it's so foreign to you because it's not something you struggle with. So learning those things about each other, and obviously just learning, you know, each other's vulnerabilities, and learning to be able to be there for each other. And like
so it's like, I think it's like 1:30 a.m. and Nayli and I have been here for about a month in GOA, and this is our first time going out. So this might be the latest we've ever stayed up and like came home, to be honest with you. And it feels fine. What are we doing here? I don't know. But I feel fine doing it. You know, I danced. I fucking love dancing. Dancing is like one of those things where it's like, hey, if I feel good, I'm doing good. I don't need anyone to tell me anything, because it's just moving your body with the beat. And no, I did not approach anyone to talk. But it's like also, is that okay? I'll be honest with you. There are times where I feel like it's natural. Like there's this moment where I go up to someone and it'll be naturally, I come up to them and just, you know, approach them myself. And I haven't taken the opportunity all the time. And there are times where I feel like it feels unnatural. So I'm going to use that as a kind of barometer, but I do think that I don't do it enough. But I do want to say that it feels like sometimes it can be natural, and when it's not, just move with it and see what happens. But I'm not so good at that. You know, I think I'm like scared so much about what I want and what I want to do and how I want to be perceived, that all these other layers are constantly being controlled by me, or like just being aware is some kind of control of it. So I feel like I need to kind of chill out for a second, and I don't know if I'm doing this right, because to be honest with you, like at 31 years old, it's a little shocking. I know it's like, you know, Nayli says it's fine, but sometimes it feels a little shocking at 31 years old. I'm still struggling to make friends. I'm still struggling to experience and explore this aspect of myself. But
like I think it's so important for us to learn to know these things about each other, because we know also that it improves our relationship, and when our relationship is feeling solid and good, I feel like we can create and collaborate better from that place.
Yeah.
And now this is like our third trip together, so we can totally look back on the past year and a half and see just how much we've changed. And even if you look at some of our very early on videos, you can see how different we were versus now. So that can also be something that trips me up a little bit, because like you don't really see how much you're changing, at least for me, because it's like after these trips we go back home and it still feels like we're in the same position, like we're not really moving forward, but like internally, oh look, a dog. But internally we've changed so much.
Yeah, I would say so.
And so it's always like trips me up a little bit, because I'm like, then why isn't my outer world changing? But it's like, of course our outer world is changing. We're here, you know?
Yeah.
So those are things that like I still feel like we are adapting to.
Since we've gotten here, I think what we're trying to do is become more experimental with our creativity, and that's more to just find our voice and to explore, like become more playful with our creativity so that we have something we can draw from this pool of work. And so we're not just recording our journey, we're not just recording our days here in India, but we also have a separate project where it includes a lot of writing. And I think what we've been doing is just exploring and experimenting with using our conversations that we have on a daily basis, just me and her and me and Nelly, and we are just trying to see what can come up. Like, these are the things we're already discussing, let's implement them in a creative manner, like put a creative spin on them.
I think we started a second project in addition to our interviews, and that has been really challenging because like trying to make time for that. And then on top of that, we're doing these vlogs now that we thought was kind of important to do for not just the channel but for ourselves, to like really document our own personal growth. And so that's something else we have to do. So just trying to manage all these separate things that we're trying to do, and then also learning to, you know, play with our creativity, like, you know. And I think this is something we talk about, is like, I think we have so much we want to say, but then we struggle with, like you were saying, that you feel like everything you want to say has already been said. And I feel like the social media is already so saturated with just people giving their opinions. Like, people have blown up on TikTok and Instagram or YouTube, and all they do is critique. And I think that things like that really make people who are creative afraid to share their work, because they're already so critical of themselves. And then they see, like, now you have like all these trolls who like troll you for everything and anything, and that makes people feel afraid to share their content. But then it's also like, I don't want to just say, you know, all the things that I'm thinking. I want to be able to put it into art form, which is something I personally struggle with, like finding that art form that fits into what I want to say, which is kind of like what our second project is about. It's like, we have a message that we want to share, and we found an outlet that we can pour into. We just want to talk about the clothes.
Yeah, we've been buying some
We found some really cool clothes. Actually, this, funny enough, nothing I'm wearing is from India. This is actually from Palestine. This top is from India. But we've bought so much cool, sustainable clothes in India, which I would 10 out of 10 experience. I would totally recommend people to come to India and buy sustainable clothing, because you can find like 100% silk, 100% cotton, 100% Georgette, and you can have these pieces, these articles of clothing for a lifetime, you know. And then the clothing are really cheap. It's not like same price of fast fashion, but it's like so much more sustainable. And just like pieces that I feel like I could just throw into my day-to-day wardrobe. So we've had the best time shopping at these like markets, these flea markets. And I think these flea markets started like way back in the 80s or something. There's like a cool story. It's like these hippies from like Europe were coming into India. And they obviously didn't have any money. And so they would bring their goods from Europe, and then they would sell it in these markets with like the local Indian people, because like local Indian people at the time didn't have access to these things. And so that's how some of these flea markets started, which is like really cool, because now when you go to these flea markets, they're huge. It's like this thing that happens weekly. There's Arpora flea market, there's Anjuna, there's Hilltop, where like you'll see people from like different parts of the world bringing their art, their clothing,
sometimes
their jewelry.
handmade, like
Yeah, and then you'll see the locals, Indian people. So it's like all really good fun. So we leave GOA in a few days, and I just want to say thank you to all the people we met here. We had the best time so far. It really felt like just like this process of rejuvenation. We're heading to another city, and we're really excited to explore there and meet really cool people. So we hope you guys stay along with the ride for us. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.